Hi, 1 Hour Smart Home here, and today we're going to cover what you should know before you buy a Nest thermostat. We've got all three Nest thermostats here, the Nest Learning Thermostat, which we've also got installed right here, the Nest Thermostat, and the Nest Thermostat. And even though these have similar names, they all are completely different and have different functionality and compatibility. So it's important to know how different these three are. The Nest Learning Thermostat has been around the longest, and it's on its third generation. But it is also the highest end Nest device. It's got this metal ring on the outside that allows you to change the temperature, and then it's got a full color glass display, which is really nice. It's like looking through a phone screen. It's also my favorite Nest thermostat, and that's because it typically does not require a common wire for installation in most cases, which makes the install easier, but it also has the most ports in the back of the device that makes it compatible with the most heating and cooling systems. So this will work with boilers, air conditioners, furnaces with air conditioners, split systems where you've got a boiler system and an air conditioner. It'll work with heat pumps. It also works with systems where you've got maybe a dehumidifier or a humidifier or other types of accessories. And that's why the Nest Learning Thermostat is my personal favorite. However, that comes in at a higher price point. I also really like the intuitiveness of this outer ring and how you can easily change the temperature, and anyone's going to walk up and know how to use it. Now, we've got the Nest E right here, and it's very similar in many ways to the Nest Learning Thermostat. It works on the Nest app just like the Nest Learning Thermostat does. But the Nest Thermostat over here, the newest generation, does not work on the Nest app. It works on the Google Home app. But other similarities with the Nest E is that you can rotate the outer ring on the Nest E to change the temperature. But one of the biggest differences between the Nest Learning Thermostat and the Nest E thermostat is that it is compatible with fewer systems. And we can take a look at the cover plate right here. So if you've got additional accessories, or maybe you've got a complicated system, a heat pump with dual fuel heating, you may not be able to use the Nest Thermostat E, whereas with the Nest Learning Thermostat, that system would have been compatible. Now, the Nest Thermostat E also does not have a full color display. It's kind of a muted color display behind a white screen on the front here. And this is made of plastic rather than glass and metal like the Nest Learning Thermostat. Now, the Nest Thermostat over here, as it's called, is the latest generation of Nest thermostats. Now, one big difference between the Nest Thermostat here and the Nest E and the Nest Learning Thermostat is that this typically does require a common wire for operation. In my experience, to get this to work, it typically needs that common wire, where in most cases, the Nest E and the Nest Learning Thermostat will not require a common wire. And why that's important is because adding a common wire, if you don't have one, can take you some extra time and effort, and it's a little bit more work with your HVAC and wiring, and a lot of people may not feel comfortable with that. Now, if you want to learn how to install a common wire, we do have a tutorial that shows you different options for that, so check that out in the description below. We've also got multiple videos that show you how to install each one of these and how to use each one of these. So if you really want to go in depth, look in that description and you're going to be able to find a specific video on each one of these thermostats. Now, because this Nest thermostat does sometimes require a common wire in scenarios like a heat-only system where these two thermostats may not require it, it's typically why I recommend the Nest E or the Nest Learning Thermostat over this newer generation of Nest thermostat. Now, it does have this mirrored face, but it does not have a full display like you get on the Nest Learning Thermostat that looks like a phone screen. They also eliminated the outer rotating ring with the Nest thermostat. Now, this does come in a lower price point than the Nest Learning Thermostat, but it is also compatible with less types of systems. It doesn't have that look like the Nest Learning Thermostat does, and it may require a common wire if you've got a heat-only system like a boiler or a furnace, so it can make that install a little bit more complicated. Now, all three of these Nest thermostats will work with Nest temperature sensors. So you can use these to detect the temperature in another room, and you can also use those as a set point for your Nest thermostat. So you can use it for a room you want to be a specific temperature that your thermostat's not located in. You put one of these in there, and then you tell the Nest thermostat to heat up until this reaches that specific set point. So in review, the Nest Learning Thermostat and the Nest E work on the Nest app, which has a great user interface. The Nest Thermostat works on the Google Home interface, which is just a little bit different than that Nest Thermostat. So if you like the old interface, the Nest Thermostat and the Nest E are a great option. The Nest Learning Thermostat also offers the most compatibility with the most systems, typically doesn't require a common wire, but it comes in at the highest price point. The Nest E still works on that Nest app. It doesn't require a common wire typically for most systems, but it's compatible with fewer systems, and it doesn't have that full color display like the Nest Learning Thermostat. And the last one we've got here, the Nest Thermostat. It removes that outer ring, which a lot of people really like because it's very intuitive. It sometimes requires a common wire, and specifically will usually require a common wire when you've got a heating only system. And it also does not have the full color display like the Nest Learning Thermostat. So if I had to rank these smart thermostats, I would rank the Nest Learning Thermostat number 1, the Nest E number 2, and the Nest Thermostat number 3. So if you want to learn more about any of these or dive into the details more, take a look down in the description for each specific video on each one of these. But thank you for watching this video on what you should know before you buy a Nest thermostat. Please give us that thumbs up, subscribe, and click any of the links below if you want to support us. Thanks for watching, and please comment below if you've got any of these or any insights you want to share on any one of these 3 smart thermostats.